listen to reason. Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion. For the sake of the world, this delusion. It's gotta go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Atheist Experience. We are live. Today is Sunday, November 7th, 2010. I'm Matt Delaney. Joining me this week, Don Baker. Welcome back.
Hey,
it's
good to
been
be
like
here.
forever since you...
It's been forever. I hosted once, but it's been several months since I've co-hosted.
And so, for those of you who know, that means we'll have actually something to talk about and won't jump directly to calls. Although this is a live call-in television program, we'll have the number up for you like virtually right away. We're sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. For more information about the ACA, you can visit our website, www.atheist-community.org. In addition to this program, the ACA also sponsors a bi-weekly internet audio podcast, which may become weekly as we actually get the time to do it. But we did a show yesterday. It's called The Nonprofits. For more information, you can go to nonprofitsradio.com. That's P-R-O-P-H-E-T-S. And we had a special guest caller yesterday, Leo Behe, the son of Michael Behe, called in and talked about it. He's recently come out as an atheist, and so we had a good conversation with him. We thank him for calling into the show. And then we talked about a lot of news items because we have a new kind of intern on the Nonprofits, and she's just been phenomenal at gathering news stories for us to talk about. So. And who knows, you may see her as an intern around the Atheist Experience as well. After the show is over, we get together for dinner at Threadgills at 301 West Riverside Drive. Any atheist or atheist-friendly person is welcome to come down. You don't have to be a member to attend any of our events. And among the other events, including the Atheist Happy Hour on Thursdays, there's also a lecture series the first Sunday of every month at the Austin History Center, located at the corner of 9th and Guadalupe, beginning at 12:15. If you see a notice on Facebook or something that says it's at 1 o'clock, that's wrong. It started at 12:15. And today we had a friend of mine who used to be the religion reporter for the Austin American Statesman, Eileen Flynn DeLeau, come on down and talk to us about being a religion reporter and a little bit about the media and their issues with representing atheism, fairly or at all. So we had a really good time with that. And the last actual announcement that I need to make is that on Tuesday, November 16th at 7 p.m. At the UMBC University Center Ballroom, I'll be having a debate on the source of human morality. We'll get a little something posted up at the website probably this week. I've already posted about it on Facebook, and I know that the student group of the secular, it's an interfaith organization thing between the Secular Student Alliance, and then there's an Orthodox group that's putting up the other presenter. And I've been informed that the moderator for the debate is going to be John Shook from CFI. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll get more information posted up online. I want to bring somebody up here today, though, because I've been doing the show for about 5 years and some change or something like that. The show's actually been on for about 13 years. The group's been around for 11 or 12. One of the guys who has been one of the main producers on this show longer than I've been involved with it is leaving Austin for another job. And since we haven't had a chance to actually do anything super special for him, I wanted to bring him out so that you could see Joe. This is Joe Rhodes, who has done marvelous stuff back in the studio, in the smaller studio, and out here at the big one. I can't possibly thank you enough. I am incredibly sad that you're leaving.
Me too.
I hope we can. He does tons of stuff with regard to the ACA website and everything, but we do wish you much luck and prosperous time up in the Northwest. So.
Right.
Thanks very much.
Joe's going to Portland. Yay. We've got a big studio audience, too, today, which is good.
That's
so maybe we can buy him a taco or something after dinner.
These guys work just insanely hard because the show goes on the air at 4:30. They're here at 3 or 3:30 to do all the behind-the-scenes setup of the equipment, the cameras, the lights.
Training,
I just show up and talk. And so we'll go ahead and get the telephone number posted up right now so we can queue up some callers. But in the meantime, Don's got stuff he wants to talk about.
A short presentation. I'll try to make it short today. A couple months ago when I was on as a co-host, I opened up this topic of buzzwords of ignorance, or things that you hear in often political discourse. And today I want to talk about the Christian nation buzzword of ignorance. And what I mean by this is words used because of their emotional connotation, where the speaker is relying on the assumed ignorance of the audience who is being manipulated by that speaker. And these words are usually used for propaganda purposes or political purposes. And the last time I talked about the notion of the Judeo-Christian values, that sort of thing. And this is kind of a closely related topic where we're talking about the founding of the nation and whether this really is a Christian nation or not. And the fact is, it's not a Christian nation. There are a lot of Christians in the United States, a majority, but that doesn't make it a Christian nation. We're an explicitly secular nation with a strong separation of church and state in our Constitution and our founding documents. And there are people chipping away at that sort of thing, but it's not a Christian nation.
It's right there in the First Amendment, despite what Christine O'Donnell thinks.
Right. So we'll hit on that at some point here. So the purpose of this myth, I think, is like an ego stroke for Christians. It's sort of saying that Christians have a special place. You get to railroad your religion through when other people don't get to. Often it's used in pandering for votes, where political candidates will say, "Oh, we're a Christian nation, and I'm Christian, so vote for me." And it's really sort of a form of Christian imperialism, where it's like an explicit propaganda campaign to promote Christianity in the greater culture. And as we'll see, it's often done at the expense of truth. So historically, I think it would be worth mentioning the fact that we had this Red Scare in the 50s, when the Cold War, and there was a lot of trouble with the U.S. and Russia, and especially after World War II. And there needed to be a way of distinguishing the United States from Russia. And they hit upon this propaganda idea that, oh, well, we believe in God, and those Russians are those atheist communists, and that's how we're going to do it. And so there really was a propaganda campaign at that time that unfortunately ran the name of atheism through the mud and made it very, very difficult for people who didn't believe to be considered patriots. And it was a kind of unfortunate time, I think. You know, today we're rehabilitating the word atheism. None of the atheists I know are into communism. It's a ridiculous association as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, but this propaganda campaign has continued on in recent years, and it's especially true, I think, since the rise of the religious right in the Republican Party. You see it quite a bit, and it's still going on today. And it's being promoted by a bunch of deceptive tactics. And I wanted to hit on a few of those tactics and talk about some examples of what those were, and then we'll wrap up. So one of the tactics they use is they put words in dead people's mouths. And this reminds me so much of these fake deathbed conversions that people supposedly had, where, on their deathbed they converted to Christianity.
As if that would matter.
Well, as if that would matter, but also, you know, they're not around to. They're dead, so they can't come around and fix the lie. So what you see is we see a lot of fake founders quotes, founding fathers, that they're overtly Christian, these sorts of things. And I think one of the big sources of these fake quotes is a guy by the name of David Barton, who is rather infamous here in Texas and across the nation. He is a political operative with the Republican Party. He's also a reverend, and I think he makes most of his money by being a propagandist. He creates these lies about Christianity and promotes them and makes money selling this stuff. So that's he's pretty famous, I think, for making up false quotes, and you can look on the internet and find those. Another example is inflating the importance of religious quotes. You know, the Christian nation folks are very fond of finding finding quotes where somebody in political power said something nice about Christianity, as if that really means anything. We have a lot of Christians that have been in power over the years, and a lot of non-Christians, and if somebody said something nice about Christianity or belief in God, it doesn't necessarily mean we're a Christian nation. So, but there's this idea that these quotes are somehow significant when they're really not. Another example is suppressing disconfirming evidence. So, for example, we have one of the main things that atheists like to bring up is the Treaty of Tripoli, where in the 1796, the U.S. government, the brand new U.S. government, actually had a treaty with the country of Tripoli and said that the government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. And this was, I believe, unanimously signed by the Congress of that time. And if you really want to say that this is a Christian nation, boy, you really need to answer to this particular thing. But often you'll find that people are promoting the Christian nation idea. We'll skip right over this, or they'll skip right over the fact that the Constitution, I think it's Article 6, has an explicit ban on religious tests of public office. This is getting back to our secular church-state separation idea. Or the First Amendment that sort of bans government involvement in religion. These things are explicit in the Constitution, and people like to kind of hide out and pretend that those aren't there. Another tactic is outright lies. There's the mythology that prayer was needed at the Constitutional Convention, and our nation was saved by prayer there, and it's just false. There's the claim that the U.S. laws were based on the Ten Commandments, and this claim is so old that even Jefferson himself had to dispel it in a letter to Thomas Cooper in 1814. And the answer there is that the U.S. laws, the core laws, came from British common law, which was in place long before Christianity made it into Britain. So, the key laws of not killing and not stealing and these sorts of things are that old that they predated Christianity's involvement in that area of the world. Anyway, so this is just an outright lie. Another tactic they use to promote the Christian nation idea is equivocation, and you see this a lot in the notion of God. And a lot of the a lot of the founders were deists, so they believe in a God that a God of nature, or the God that sort of created the universe but then set it loose and let it run. And it's a very different notion of God than the Christian God of somebody you pray to and interact with and get favors from, that sort of thing. But there's a lot of equivocation of these two things. These are two very different religious concepts, but a lot of Christians would want to claim the deists as Bible-believing Christians, when many of them spoke out vociferously against the Bible and the Christian religion. And among those are Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and Adams and Madison were some of the big ones that really, Thomas Paine, of course. So a lot of those founders, really sort of had it out for Christianity, or didn't believe in it. Yet they built a nation that tolerated that, and had tolerated those religious beliefs. Another example of equivocation is in the First Amendment and how it's interpreted. A lot of people will say, oh, well, the First Amendment prohibits the establishment of religion, but in actuality it prevents an establishment of religion. And the founders chose their words carefully. They really sort of knew what they were doing, with possible exception of the Second Amendment, which was very ambiguous. But the First Amendment is quite clear that the U.S. government is not to be creating an establishment of religion, so it's not supposed to be endorsing religion of any sort. Another equivocation is people will say, oh, well, this wall of separation of church and state really means that the government's not supposed to mess with religion. It's really a one-way magic trapdoor thing.
Yeah.
And
it's the first wall I've heard of that actually works that way. But
yeah. And it's not like, you know, these founders were well-educated people. If they knew what a trapdoor was, they could have used that terminology. I mean, they you know, a wall is not semi-permeable in one direction. Anyway, it's just ridiculous. Finally, another way is myth-making. Or creating stories about that sort of associate sort of a biblical narrative with the narrative of the country. And